Surviving Sister Wives contains adult content that may not be suitable for Latter-day Saints or sinners. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Surviving Sister Wives.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Carly, and this is Sister Wives, Season 19, Episode 13, Give Up the Ghost. Did I just make that sexy?
Making it sexy
a
for
little bit.
Like, giving up a ghost? Is that what's happening here? I've heard if you have ghosts, you have everything.
Okay, that's like a deep track for a very small audience, isn't it?
It's a subset of a subset, yeah. If you're a ghost fan, you get it.
I'm pretty sure that is quite the opposite of the intended meaning here.
I don't know if you know what the intended meaning is here.
I mean, I use ChatGPT, so...
Let's see what the biblical assessment is then.
Oh, you want to hear from...
Sure, yeah, if you're so confident in your assessment.
Like a copyright violation or anything? Do I have to worry about that?
The Bible? You think King James is going to come after you for royalties?
OpenAI is who I'm worried about.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I don't know. Let's gamble.
Let's read from the book of GPT.
The phrase, give up the ghost, originates from the Bible and means to die or surrender one's life. It is used in translations like the King James Version to describe the moment when a person's spirit departs from their body. For example, in the account of Jesus' crucifixion, it states that he gave up the ghost, signifying his death. The phrase symbolizes the separation of the soul from the physical body, often in a peaceful or solemn context. Over time, it has come to also be used metaphorically to describe the failure or end of something non-living.
So is this the end of polygamy then? Is that what they're using this in reference for? The Bible verses that I pulled up, there were tons of different references of that phrase. So yeah, I had to pick my favorite one, which was Luke chapter 23, verse 46. There it is. And it was when Jesus died on the cross. Yes. For your sins, Carly.
That was your favorite one?
That was my favorite example of it.
Okay.
That wasn't my favorite Bible verse. My favorite Bible verse was in Ezekiel, something about the woman who lusted after men with genitals like horses and ejaculates like stuff. Yeah, I was a problem for the pick your favorite Bible verse to put up on the screen sort of days, because I would find the most obscure references and then challenge the fact that I was being censored. When everyone else worships the book here. So I'm like, hey, I'm just trying to play along, you know?
You were really annoying, weren't you? You were that kid. Clearly, it's the end of a lot of things in this episode. Christine is wedding dress shopping. It's the end of, long beyond the end of her time in polygamy. Meri is kind of, sort of getting over Kody.
But still longing after him, too? A little bit. Lusting, maybe. Something got reignited when they bumped uglies on the moving truck the other week. It was just an inadvertent contact that took place where...
It's all she's been thinking about.
Yeah, she...
24/7.
She needs to find something to scratch that itch.
We have been anticipating this episode. Honestly, I was not excited about the Aurora Brianna church shopping storyline, but now it's all I'm living for.
I will tell you, before we watched the episode, I was dreading it. When it got to that part of the episode, I was ecstatic that we were finally delving into this.
Very much looking forward to what was coming next.
Mostly because they just beat me over the head with the Christine dress shopping storyline, and there were way too many dresses, by the way.
Yeah, what happened to 3?
Yeah, I can't
That's
keep track.
how we shop for things on television.
There's too many. This isn't a say yes to the dress scenario anymore. This has gone off a totally different route. I have no way to contextualize the decision that's being made anymore. But the TLC description for this episode is Christine goes shopping for her dream wedding dress. Meri meets with 2 of her friends and struggles to come to grips with her new reality. Aurora and Brianna approach Robyn about returning to church.
I thought they were going to church the entire time. I mean, I knew that they weren't part of their church anymore because geography-wise, that wasn't possible. But I'm actually kind of surprised that they've just been pretending to be religious, or Is that what it is? Or we're just like really embracing like the trad wife life at 19 years old?
Are they doing their own? See, I don't understand the criteria that they're looking for, but yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more. First, we've got to hear that Carly episode rewrite description for this one.
Christine searches for a nip-slip worthy wedding dress. Meri continues to seek another type of spiritual release. Robyn gets excited about going church shopping. David declares he's a cake man.
He'll eat the cake. For the taste of the cake. He's here for cake.
Let's get this pony in the water because we had one of the best opening scenes that we've had this entire season. Because we're back at Lakai, a place we're very familiar with. The peacocks are out. It's like old times.
We immediately flashed back in our minds, not on the show, to Meri and Kody's anniversary date that was there from season 1, going all the way back. And then this is also where Aspen and Mitch had their nuptials. So it's a very special place, sacred, hallowed ground in the Sister Wives universe. But we got Meri meeting up with a couple of gal pals.
Yeah, we're back here in very different circumstances.
Have we met them before?
No.
Andrea, maybe? Have we heard of Andrea before?
I
think it was a different Andrea.
Yeah,
we weren't
she had another friend named Andrea in Las Vegas.
We weren't sure. Her name came up as Andrea, but we weren't sure if it was Andrea or Andrea because she looked like she would prefer to be pronounced as Andrea.
The other friend.
The other friend, not this friend. Yeah, this is Andrea. She's more laid back.
Andrea and Hillary. Hillary is not a laid back kind of name. Neither of these really are. These are apparently two ex-ob people as well. They were both involved in plural marriage, both divorced, much like Meri. Did I make that up?
I don't think Hillary was. So Andrea definitely was. I think she knows about polygamy.
This is how little I give a shit about what's going on
I don't
other
know if
people.
I don't know if I don't know if Hillary was living the lifestyle here, but Andrea definitely was. And Hillary has yet to meet anyone who's living polygamy who is happy.
The weirdest thing about this is that these women are of a different generation than Meri, to put it nicely. She's babysat one of them growing up. Like, we have a very odd friend group.
But she is casting a very wide net for this season. She needs to show us there are so many friends, so many people who love to be around her who are not in her family.
That is 1,000% the point of this. Also because she has no one else to film with. So it's either central casting or we dig up some old friends.
Or it's Jen again, but they're not going to keep doing
We want more Jen. The audience demands more Jen. We don't need these other superfluous friends. We're never going to meet them again. That's why I didn't clock all the information.
I'm just glad that she's getting some moral support from somewhere because it seems like this is helping her through a lot of processing what is happening with the divorce with Kody.
She doesn't seem to be making much progress on her own.
That is true. Yeah, like if she was left to her own devices, I think she would have been back with Kody at this point.
Why are they all dressed in green? Like various shades of the color green.
Maybe it was St. Patrick's Day. Probably not, though.
No. Did they coordinate that? That was just a coincidence. No one commented on it, which made it extra weird.
That's why you just had to assume it was for something else, maybe.
I guess these are really good friends of hers because they were there with her the day that she got the release. They sat in the car and waited, but they were there for moral support that day, too.
That's one way to do it. I wonder if they'll do the same thing for Janelle when they finally get her the referral and the phone numbers that she needs to get that release, too.
Who, Andrea and Hillary?
Sure, yeah.
What about Meri?
No,
Meri
not
and
Meri.
Christine.
Still not Meri. I don't think she'll be there.
I need the three of them to band together. I need an ex-wives club.
I don't think Christine cares enough. She's over it. She's moved on. She has plenty of other things to distract her from all of those pesky emotional thoughts. She doesn't need to address anything.
She needs someone to complain to about Truly's, I was going to say life insurance policy, but that is
no.
Incorrect.
You're talking about the child support
Yep,
stuff?
Yep,
Okay, that's
there
different.
we are.
That's different. She might have to settle out depending on how many people Truly is going to bite this year. You're going to lose a lot of that.
No, even Andrea knows, like, something was wrong back in the day. After Kody married Robyn, it just seemed like he dropped the other OG3. Wasn't interested in them anymore.
You could tell Robyn was the wedge. She broke things up because of the favoritism that Kody still outright denies, even as we cut away to him during this conversation, too.
Isn't it kind of annoying to watch people acknowledge things that we've all been talking about for years?
I don't think Meri watched the show, though. I don't think a lot of them watched the show. I think Robyn watched the show, but I don't think Christine or Janelle or Meri.
They had a tweet when the show was on back in the days of Twitter. It seemed like that was part of their contract.
Yeah, maybe Janelle did.
Even during the days of the divorce, Meri's legal divorce.
I think Robyn was the one who really watched the show. And then just Meri and Christine just didn't pick up on the subtleties, on the nuance?
I think a lot of them just denied what was going on because that's part of polygamy.
Yeah, that was the easier way to deal with stuff, is you just have to say, well, I used to be in a really bad place with Kody, but now we've worked through that and I'm happy now. I wasn't happy 5 years ago. I was miserable. That's how every conversation goes. But then you find out in 5 years, they were actually miserable having this conversation too.
They need one of those scales. Every day you need to say from a scale of 1 to 10, how was your mood today?
I'm terrible at those scales.
Well, they needed to go back and reflect. Because I don't think that they really increased measurably from the time that they were miserable to the time that they were meh. Things are okay.
I don't even know if you can put it at meh. They would be lucky to have meh. Every day's a struggle.
Meri doesn't really say much during these conversations, so it just makes me feel like she's filming with people just so they could say the things that she wants to verbalize, but she never will on camera.
That was a lot of the reason for involving Jen, especially in the look back, talk back, flashback, whatever they called it at the end of last season. We had to bring Jen in because Meri wasn't able to say all this stuff watching the picnic table breakup.
But why?
The repercussions.
What, the land? That's pretty much the only thing that they have to hold over her anymore.
Could be. But then also just dealing with Robyn's emotions too, because then that's what Meri's kind of enlightening us with in this conversation too, is that things are still really weird. Because how is she going to remain friends with Robyn? She's married to my ex-husband. It's just a strange situation.
She was married to your husband while you were married to your husband. It's been weird since the beginning.
But this is weirder.
Why is it weirder?
This is weirder now.
It's almost less weird. It's almost like you were married to someone, you got divorced, and they got remarried, and now this is their new spouse. That's actually a more commonplace situation than being married to the same person at the same time.
But more uncomfortable for Meri. Definitely. She feels the comparison in her head.
I feel bad for her that her dry spell has not ended. It's been a decade.
I mean, Andrea asked, hey, you fucking? Like, what's going on? What's the deal?
I'm going to need her to be more transparent.
More transparent than just asking, are you fucking?
No, I'm going to need Meri's responses.
Oh, Meri. Okay, yeah. No, well, I mean, she let us know.
How close have we gotten?
She said no. And she was trying to say that it's only been 6 months. But then I feel like she's kind of rushing herself because maybe she is a little horned up. I think she's got the engine's fully revved and she's idling at 95 right now.
It's been 6 months and 10 years.
That's what they have to remind her is maybe, give it a little bit more time because it feels like it's been forever, but also feels very new too, because you've kind of been in this weird limbo state instead.
They're having to gas her up. Like, you're amazing, Meri. You're this boss businesswoman. You got a great personality. Things that she has never heard.
You're a hot piece of ass, Meri. And you are great at business. The pluses, the minuses, great businesswoman.
Maybe she does need to do work on herself before she moves on to the realm of dating, because she doesn't seem to believe any of these positive attributes about herself. And then she's also really regretting the fact that she's leaving this marriage at 52, that Kody could have done her a favor and she could have been out in her mid-40s. But here she is.
I think that's the regret part that she has now, is where the difference of had she left at 45, she would have had more time to secure, the back half of her life a little bit more. Now she feels like she's kind of already pushed into that at 52.
Man, Christine locked that down in less than a year, girl.
Couple months.
You're not really out of time.
No, time flies when you're rebounding from Kody. So fear not, Meri.
And also, her personality, that opened a can of worms in this conversation.
That got us to the ammonia and bleach part of the conversation, though, which I think that makes a lot of sense to compare Kody and Meri to ammonia and bleach. I get that.
Okay, but don't people normally just go with oil and water? Why are we going with ammonia and bleach? We need it to be more toxic. We need somebody to actually...
It's dangerous. Yeah.
We need to call poison control when the two of them get together.
We are going to need to close down the kitchen and air this out.
She needs a reminder not to let those fluids mix.
Be careful. Be careful, Carly.
She's been thinking about it.
She's is teetering on the edge right now.
I guess it was kind of like that. I think the thing that she has not really worked out in her mind is, were they toxic if you took the element of plural marriage out?
Well, nobody ever wants to blame plural marriage, because I think that's Robyn's out in this episode too, is when she talks about the collapse of the family more recently. But it wasn't anything wrong with polygamy. It was the individuals in the family.
Well, of course, she thinks Christine sucks.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the people who were involved's fault.
Yeah, and it's never this flawed system that we've established that is the foundation of our religion. Not that. It's not that. It's the people inside of that flawed system.
Except Meri already talked in this conversation about the great memory of being at Lakai with Kody, where on their anniversary, she had to express the deep feelings of jealousy that she was going through at the time with Robyn coming into the family, and how he really seemed to lack a lot of empathy for that, and also was disgusted by the idea of her potentially dating somebody else or being with another man.
Well, in a hypothetical scenario.
Yeah, but then there's no issue at all with him doing that.
Actually doing that.
And
yeah.
he couldn't put himself, the whole point was, can you put yourself in my shoes and understand the difficulty that I'm having seeing you with another person?
No, Meri, I don't have empathy. So I cannot do that. And I will not do that.
And that is an issue that is rooted in polygamy, because every single one of these women, it seems, I don't know if Robyn will admit it or ever has experienced jealousy towards the others, but this is a common element of this type of relationship.
You know what it is? I think Robyn just suffers the guilt of knowing that all of these other wives are so jealous of her. That's what it is. That's the cross that she has to bear. Because I learned something new about fundamental Mormonism here, is that you have to suffer to get to heaven.
We knew that. The sacred loneliness.
Well,
that was what Kody was trying to tell us about.
It's a blessing. That's a blessing. I didn't know that was suffering. You're supposed to enjoy that. It's sacred.
Well, that's what they have to convince women of, to continue to participate in this system.
Well, and Kody has to then applaud polygamy for having his and Meri's relationship last as long as it did, because if it weren't for polygamy, he probably would have divorced her 6 months into their marriage.
Do you agree with that?
I feel like, yeah, that was the only thing that kept this going.
Well, I think that's shitty. Why not just say, hey, this isn't really working out the way I thought it would? We didn't know each other for that long. It seems that perhaps it was a mistake to rush through to the marriage part of things.
That would be admitting fault. That would be opening yourself to culpability.
I understand that, but that makes what happened even worse, because Kody knew 6 months into the marriage that his plan was to essentially abandon her to a certain extent by bringing other people into the marriage who he actually enjoyed spending time with.
I'll give you one that was worse. It was the last 10 years of their relationship, when he just kept stringing her along, telling her to do all this different stuff. Then they could try to attempt to repair their relationship, and yet he never had any intention of doing any of that.
Oh, he's consistently been shitty.
Yeah, so I think that was probably worse.
But she would have been, 19, 20 years old?
But then she wouldn't have learned anything. She's got all these life lessons now.
Great, that was worth 30-something years of unhappiness.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. But again, Meri has her support system here. They're here to build her up. They're here to encourage her and help her work through this. She doesn't have a lot of people that she can talk to about this. And then even people, other friends and things like that, they didn't live polygamy. They don't get it the way that Andrea and Hillary get it. So this is a really valuable lunch for her.
I think she needs to hang out with them more, because they're deeply disturbed by the fact that she still, when she's talking to them, is saying that she would have stayed. That they need her to move past the phase of if Kody didn't have so many failures on his part, I would still be there today. And I think that reopens the conversation of, is she really over Kody?
Because even just the way that she is coming up with excuses still, too, when they're talking about how they've never seen polygamy work, where plural marriage, there's always somebody suffering, or there's always at an expense of someone in the family, with the families being so large, and you cannot have your attention in all those different places to manage all of those relationships, albeit with the children, with the wives, and then the husband is only one person, so there's only so much time in the day. They've never seen that work. And Meri has to fire back with, well, I mean, monogamy is not perfect either.
I am super intrigued by their continued dedication to defending polygamy, even though it went so badly in this situation.
I feel like Meri wanted to say, you've never seen polygamy work? Not even the Dargers? Have you met the Dargers? They've been doing work over there. I've been jealous a few times going into their Pottery Barn display home.
I'm not sure if they continue to come to the defense of polygamy just because they did have some positive things that came out of it.
And I mean, that's fine. But yeah, to say that monogamy is the same as polygamy, because polygamy, you're constantly let down and constantly disappointed. And monogamy is not perfect either. But I think the difference is just the level, the amount maybe of exposure to that disappointment.
Here's my thought. I'm wondering if they still have this idealized version of polygamy, which in actuality is being the favorite wife, because it doesn't seem that there's ever really any true equality that takes place.
Well,
you just have to be the most liked.
I think there was equality at one point when it was Kody and the OG3.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I think that they each just took turns being the favorite.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because he disliked them all equally.
At different points in time.
And then was able to just focus the attention with whichever wife he happened to be with.
Yeah, and the fairness of it was that he didn't actually love any one of them.
Yeah.
Which isn't really fair.
You're all in wildly unsatisfactory marriages together.
Yeah, everybody was unhappy in their own way. When there's somebody who's too happy, it's unfair to everybody else.
Well, that was where the problem came in. Yeah. Her name's Robyn. Nice to meet you.
So if we could all just agree to be somewhat miserable, not too miserable, but definitely not on the happy end of the scale.
Oh, because they're definitely more miserable now than they were before.
Who?
Well, everybody who's leaving, I mean, that should be evidence enough that they're far more miserable than they were before Robyn entered the family.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like at the end of the marriage here. Marriages,
yeah. Multiple, plural.
Well, we've only got one marriage coming up on the show, David and Christine. I'm scared by the next few episode descriptions because it seems that we are just continuing to watch Christine dress shop.
I don't know how many times. I hope they swap out the description, just because there's other stuff that's going to be happening and we'll just get an updated version. I don't need to see Christine shop for wedding dresses for 3 episodes.
How are they going to bring this all to a culmination? Are we going to have to watch parts of her wedding again? They better show us unseen stuff.
Well, that, and then I was going to say the hard part here is that if you are spreading this out over 3 episodes, I worry about that, because even in this segment, these segments with the wedding dress shopping, we had Christine repeating explanations at least 2 times. So it was regurgitated stuff within the same scene where they were like, can you just describe that again using different words? So the type of dress that she was looking for, the things that she had on her wish list for the perfect wedding dress, she went over it at the beginning of the segment and then again later on in the segment as well.
I think that's classic Sister Wives, though.
Just reiterate.
Have we forgotten that that's how they make this show?
Rehash. Well, they're falling back into those old habits. Because I think we were getting away from that a little bit, at least, where we're caught up. We know what Christine's preferences for her wedding dress are because we've already seen her marry David in the wedding dress that she ultimately chose.
And we have seen the picture of her wedding dress with Kody so many times. It's burned into my memory. That's how many times I've seen it.
The Gladware.
We're going to do it again. Just get ready.
She's looking for something a little less force flex this time.
Well, we are going wedding dress shopping, and Christine brings a group with her that is terrifying to most bridal consultants because the more opinions, the more confusion.
The more people you have grabbing dresses for Christine to try on, there's just a whole gaggle of people. It's way too many cooks in the kitchen.
There were no rules.
At one point, Christine was pairing people up to work together to go find dresses. That's too much, man. I'm not putting all these on.
She must have been there for hours. She tried on so many dresses, and those are the ones that they chose to show us.
No satin, though.
If everyone, well, yeah, she was like, I'm never wearing that fabric ever again.
Never again.
Never shall it grace my body. If every one of those people chose out a dress, she would have had to wear, what, 15, a dozen to 15 different dresses just to please the people who each picked something out for her?
That's why she paired them up. So then that cuts it in half, at least. So maybe seven or eight that you got to try on. She had to have tried on at least 6 that we saw on camera.
I feel like it was more than that. I don't know
Probably
if I'm just
6
imagining.
Maybe.
A lot of them look the same, to be honest.
I blacked out for most of it, if we're going to be completely honest. But my favorite part in this segment was when Robyn chimed in about how important it is to find the perfect wedding dress. And she completely missed the fact that the producers were asking her, of all people, specifically about her take on wedding dresses, and the fact that she didn't clock that and gave as much of a serious answer as she possibly could in response to that, of all people.
I'm not going to lie. At first, I was wondering, did they take that from when Aspen got married?
No, they were trolling. They were trolling her. They asked her for her take on how important it is to find the perfect wedding dress, and she gave them the answer.
Such a special experience, especially if you have it be a secret from your sister wives and you have your future husband pick the dress.
If you go with your sister wives to pick out a dress and you pity pick a dress to make them feel like you bonded, and then you go out in secret with your future husband and have him pick your dress instead because it's something that he likes and he's invested in, that's how you get the perfect dress.
It's magical. So this is really a special experience for Janelle, because the only other time she's been dress shopping with a sister wife was in the Robyn dress shopping thing.
Yeah, I guess there's less pressure this time around. And I don't know if Janelle is the opinion that you want to bring along on picking a wedding dress when Janelle is admitting, if I get remarried, big if, I don't really have an interest in it. But if I did, I probably wouldn't even have a wedding dress. I'll probably just wear my trusty wedding denims and get married on a mountain somewhere.
I would love to see her get married and pick out a wedding dress. But she does seem like she just doesn't really like the attention. She's not really a wedding kind of gal. She's more of an elope on the side of a mountain kind of gal.
Well, and I mean, at first when she was saying there's not going to be a wedding dress, it was bringing into question, what is the wardrobe? What is the dress code?
Her dream man is Ron Swanson. Convince me it's not.
I think she would do well with a Ron Swanson type.
She just wants a man in a flannel who's going to set up a tent a few feet away from where they get married on the mountain, start a bonfire.
That or like a Hank Hill type. Just,
just ready to barbecue at any point in time.
Just a standard issue guy, hardworking, salt of the earth guy.
I think he's out there.
And so's that dress, that magical dress that Christine is searching for, which she describes as having a deep plunge. And we're talking deep. When she was hitting her belly button,
yeah, she was like all the way down.
I'm talking
everything.
Deep V.
I gotta say, so apparently McKelty and Tony, I'm guessing it was Tony, let the cat out of the bag that Christine had gotten her titties done.
That was more recently on a live, yes.
And I'm guessing that is part of why we are embracing a very deep plunging neckline, because we're going to get our money's worth.
Yeah, she's trying to get the va-va-voom out of this.
And I gotta say, they were looking good.
There were a few, I mean, yeah, some because they weren't fitted yet. So there were a few where it was looking a little frumpy.
Well, you see, no, the titties were...
On a few, yeah. She was popping. Yeah, she had it lined up there. But she's talking deep plunge. And then she was mentioning off the shoulder, but then she's talking long sleeve too.
Yeah. She wants a
form-fitting, yet also flowy, but form-fitting.
Look, she's at the beginning of her shopping journey. She's a little unsure of what she wants.
No veil, though. She knows no veil.
No veil, and we are not hiring Grandma Annie to sew another dress.
You don't need to sew me into this one.
Imagine the guilt that Annie lives with every day, knowing that she created that monstrosity.
Well, and the problem, too, is that she didn't get to see Christine in it because it was just something that she wasn't invited to the ceremony. It was a closed religious ceremony. Annie wasn't able to attend, so she just kind of put it on the hanger, dropped it off, and crossed her fingers. And then once she saw the photos, it was probably like, oh, no.
Maybe that explains a lot of what happened. There was no final fitting. That was a mistake. So we're going for the complete and utter opposite of what she had the first time. There's a lot of illusion lace. There's a lot of see-through stuff going on. A lot of cutouts.
A lot of doily looking stuff.
It's the lace.
Yeah,
You did not like the lace, apparently.
No, I don't think I did. Not too good.
Neither did McKelty, especially some of the more unfortunately placed pieces of lace.
In the vaginal region.
Shaped like parts of the anatomy. David and Christine. Healthy sex life. That's what we learned from this.
He doesn't need a roadmap. Unlike Kody, who needed a roadmap and 2 flashlights, probably. Is that what's going on? By comparison. But comparison is the thief of joy.
I got exhausted partway through watching this.
I was overstimulated. I think that was what was happening. And then the ADHD kicked in and I kind of zoned out a little bit because it was just her coming up with more and more and more.
And I got really confused because then at the end, they decided we're just going to make a custom dress, which first of all seems insane given the amount of time that there is until her wedding.
Well, plus they said that they found 4 things that they liked, 4 different elements. So we're just going to take all 4 of those things and combine them into one dress. Are you still going to like all those individual elements when they're slapped together on one dress?
I don't know, but then they also said that, but then we didn't get a visual. Can you show me a side-by-side of all 4 dresses and the pieces that she liked from each one? Because I can't envision it. I can't remember in the sea of gowns that she has tried on at this point what she liked from what, even though we know what the dress looks like. So
yeah, we know the end result here. So I feel like that cut down on a lot of the work from the production side. You weren't going to need to build out any graphics or try to piece this together in Photoshop to show us what this Frankenstein dress would look like.
From what I remember of watching the wedding, her dress was nice for her. It was what she wanted.
That was a pretty ruthless burn too.
It was poorly fitted.
Okay.
Yet again.
She's 2 for 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I already have a bone to pick with this place. We needed to take it in a little bit more at the end.
It is important to find the perfect dress, but it's more important to have a perfect fitting closer to the wedding day. I think that should be the emphasis here. Christine was very set on finding a dress. You need to find a tailor.
And not Grandma Annie.
Not this time.
Do we want to talk about cakes, or are you just so excited that we have to get to the girls'?
No, it's cake.
All right.
Yeah, we're saving the best for last. Yes,
right.
That's what's happening. So it's cake testing day. We have our most important flavor profiles that we have to review. It's German chocolate, red velvet, which we all know.
We have
is a
sordid history with here on the podcast.
Source of controversy, endless controversy on the pod. Then we also have white chocolate with raspberry, a cherry marble, almond vanilla, and a classic carrot cake.
I knew out of the gate that they were going to pick something that did not sound good to me.
The German chocolate?
Look, a lot of those cakes don't scream wedding cake
and
to
we
me.
we don't like coconut. That's our personal.
No, so that's German chocolate gets nixed right away.
You were trying to test me on guessing which one you would have liked the best. And I said carrot cake and you said, no, you wouldn't have picked that. But you would have wanted to pick that because you always want to pick carrot cake. And then you don't out of guilt because you don't want to force carrot cake upon other people at any event.
Look, other people don't want to eat a vegetable in their cake. And I understand that. I empathize with that.
But if it's your day, pick carrot cake. Go for it.
I like a lot of types of cake, so I'll be okay with a second or third choice.
Okay.
The worst part of watching people eat cake on TV is then wanting a piece of cake.
I beg to differ. I would say the worst part about watching these people on TV eating cake is hearing David verbally describe them eating cake. I was just here I'm here to taste the cake. And I'm looking forward to the cake tasting and tasting the cake.
He is a simple man.
He is.
The only thing he is interested in is the cake, not the icing.
I'm here for the cake. I get right down to the cake.
He doesn't like things that are too sweet, I guess. He was complaining about, was it the carrot cake icing was too sweet?
Which
that's a cheesecake.
Or
cheesecake.
like a cream,
I like cheesecake
cream
too.
cheese, yeah.
That is a cream cheese icing, sir.
Usually a little more tart than sweet.
He would never make it in my family.
Buttercream? Yeah.
Buttercream or bust.
Oh, man. Yeah, he'd be belly up.
Although that is not my personal preference. Worried about getting the beatus after all these years of consuming so much buttercream.
Coming. Yeah, it's coming. I don't know how we're still learning more ways that Christine and Kody's wedding was absolutely a nightmare. But every time they talk about it, there's always a new little tidbit of information. They didn't have a cake.
She keeps talking about how Kody was not involved in planning the wedding. But what was planned? Because all they did was eat dinner. There was no cake. The dress was a sack of satin that was hemmed up on three
Well, hopefully.
3 sides?
3 that we could see.
With the neck hole.
in photographs. That
Maybe a hole elsewhere. I'm not sure.
Clearly documented in photographs.
This is a horrible affair. You don't invite people to a party and not serve them cake.
Not in the JonBenet Ramsey dress, no. You'll never live that down.
They have pineapple and milk. You had to serve some form of dessert.
Something sweet. Otherwise, Burke's going to get upset. I'm kidding. We're intruder all the way now. Forget it.
If you guys want to hear our thoughts on the JonBenet Ramsey case, there's an episode over on Surviving Reality. It is controversial.
Show me another doc. I'll change my mind. Don't worry.
Even Janelle had a cake. That's the only picture we have from her wedding is her cutting the cake.
Well, here's the thing. She didn't have a dress. She had a cake. So
you get one or the other.
Yeah, I think you had to pick. That's what it comes down to.
Why are they acting like the concept of a groom's cake is completely foreign when hasn't every spouse who's married into the family on this show had a groom's cake?
Did Mitch Cassoni had like 8 cakes, and then we know Caleb had his buck cake. Did Mitch have a groom cake too? I think they did end up picking multiple flavors. I don't know if we
saw what it was.
I think they just agreed to have multiple.
A set of bagpipes.
I think they just agreed to have multiple cakes too. This family,
they all do.
They cannot narrow it down. They can't make a single solitary choice. It's a polygamy of cake.
Because that's what Tony and McKelty did that too.
They did it to
everybody.
Everybody.
Had the smorgasbord of cakes.
Didn't Mitch and Aspen? Because then they weren't taking people's requests.
They got multiple flavors.
Because it was like they were getting feedback from people too. Unwarranted feedback was the issue. So then they had to say, executive decision, this is the one that we want, but also we like these other ones.
Yeah, they chose 3.
Yeah, they got a couple few.
That's just what happens in this family. They can't make their minds up when it comes to cake. But Christine is acting like this is a unique trait of David's to just say, just get them all. Why do we have to pick one?
And then I think David was saying, oh, we'll get one big German chocolate and then we'll get 2 other ones of the 2 that we can't decide. And then Christine's poo-pooing that too, because she's like, no, if you're getting cake, we're getting them all big. We're getting big cakes. 3 big cakes.
They have a lot of people that are invited to this wedding. You're going to need giant cakes.
Pick your flavors because you're getting 3 big ones.
Now, why didn't they do the groom's titty cake, the boob cake that was suggested by Truly? Because they could have done 2 different flavors.
Oh, for like a left and a right?
Yeah.
Either that or you have tits and you have ass. So the German chocolate cake could be the ass, and then you're eating ass on your wedding day. We know that won't be the first time they're going to be doing that. Because this is where David's learning a lot of stuff too. Because he's learned a lot about cake. He's learned a lot about boobs. And then
naked cake.
He's learning about crimes against cake here. This is Naked Cake 101. It's when the frosting is too sweet for David. He doesn't like it anyway. So Christine says, oh, we'll just leave it off.
We just scrape most of the frosting off.
Just a little hint of frosting on the outside.
No, that is dry ass cake.
That's terrible. You've ruined the cake now. I'm disappointed.
It better be very moist if you're taking all of the icing away. And yes, I used that word.
All right, well, that's on you.
Moist, but not stodgy.
There is a difference. But
I don't know that he's a naked cake kind of guy.
And I think it's just because nobody likes to say naked cake, because then he was confused with even that as a concept. He wasn't sure, was somebody naked holding cake? Is there someone naked popping out of the cake? These are the only reference points that he has for naked cake.
That's why he's our freaky betches match.
She likes where his head is at.
See?
Yeah, she's like, you're on the right track. You're close.
What about a lingerie cake? That's more up his alley. It's a happy medium between too much icing and no icing.
It's leaving something to the imagination.
You know, he wasn't wrong when he suggested a bear cake would be a better name.
Yeah, somebody would spell that wrong, though. You think McKelty's going to use the right term of bear?
No, they would end up picking up like a giant black bear cake?
Grizzly, polar. You got 3 different flavors.
Tell us which type of bear.
Yep, you got to pick which flavor goes where.
I think that he would have liked that. Well, you got to do the red velvet cake then. That's what Maddie had on the inside of the groom's cake.
Caleb, yeah, he had his buck cake.
Please don't send us any more recipes for red velvet cake after this.
It's...
No, you're not going to open it again.
It
is chocolate cake.
It's both entirely chocolate and entirely vanilla. In its identity, in its essence.
They chose the 3 most boring flavors. Did we already talk about this? I don't think we talked about the vanilla almond.
Not the ones that they picked. Yeah, because I think they went German chocolate, vanilla, or almond vanilla, or whatever. And then, what was it, the white chocolate raspberry?
No, the carrot cake.
Oh, they did carrot cake. Okay.
Is Janelle the one that likes carrot cake? Because they tend to have a lot of carrot cake in this family. They've done that as cupcakes. For the commitment ceremony, they had carrot cake.
Are there gluten-free options for Kody and Robyn? Absolutely not.
I was intrigued by the cherry-flavored cake that we never heard anything about.
Cherry marble?
Yeah.
So what is that, just swirled through the cake, you think?
I don't know, because I didn't really get to see it.
Yeah, they didn't show us.
I needed them to describe each piece of cake in great detail.
Well, because then that would just end up with Dave just saying the name of the cake 3 times over and over again. Well, yeah, we got a cherry marble that we're tasting now, and it's pretty marbled throughout, and it's very cherry in flavor. Tastes like cherry and looks like marble.
Get this man a little dinosaur cake.
A little dino cake. Yeah, that'd be good.
Why not?
Now the question is, are they going to smash the dino cake? Because that always ends up being a point of contention, depending on if... Well, because we know they're going to smash on the wedding day. But
maybe meteor can smash the dinosaur cake.
Oh, yes. But would Christine's face be the meteor?
We know that they did do a cake smash, but they're poo-pooing it here. Like, she also dislikes having cake in her face.
Usually it's David with the cake in his face. Why did we need Kody to close out this segment for us? This was such an odd way to drop this in, where it was him whining about how Christine trash talked him about having his soulmate in Robyn, and now Christine was going to go look for her soulmate, and he thought that was the most offensive thing that could ever be said. But now that he's been more removed from the marriage and he's looking back on it, kind of makes more sense the more he thinks about it.
I need him to apologize for these things in person, because she's just going to see them when they're at the tell-all. And then it seems disingenuous, because you're willing to say it to a producer, but you're not willing to apologize to her after all the shit that you said about her in previous seasons and all the fights you started amongst the family because you had to blame her for everything. And yet you are now acknowledging that the accusation that led to her leaving the family is actually true. And he's just casually dropping that information.
I feel like this is the producers walking stuff back. Well, this is Kody walking stuff back, and this is the producers trying to soften and edit here for Kody.
I don't think that's working.
I don't think it's working either.
For multiple reasons, but specifically, like for what I was just talking about, saying it on TV in a confessional to a producer isn't the same level of maturity as admitting it to somebody who you've been shit-talking for 3 years.
That's kind of the way that they're marriage ended between Kody and Meri was he kept saying stuff to producers when he had agreed with Meri that they weren't going to say stuff on camera about it at tell-alls and with producers. And so those sorts of conversations and things, he gets very comfortable and then he just says stuff. But I don't think he would ever be in that mindset to then reach out to Christine to try to repair that relationship.
Oh, no, he doesn't give a shit.
No.
Also, they're going to get to the tell-all. They're going to show him that clip and ask him his thoughts on it, and he's going to completely contradict himself.
See, I would love to have Robyn and Kody on the same couch for the tell-all, for their stuff, because then you get to see Robyn's reactions to Kody being shown clips of other people saying things, or Cody's takes, his hot takes from the couch that Robyn was not there to filter and edit for him.
Is she going to bring a pen to whack him with?
And grab his hand and squeeze it 3 times while they're watching a clip?
We missed that in the last episode because it was happening just out of frame. But for some reason, Robyn was smacking Kody with a pen.
When they were talking about, it was when they were collecting their check from Meri to pay off the land.
Snatching the check out of her hand.
Grabbing it from her forcefully.
When they were talking about Janelle and how Janelle stopped by Meri's house.
Meri had brought up Janelle and she was snitching on her, basically, in that moment.
So weird. Either she's upset about something, trying to make sure he's not going to say something, or she's attempting to emotionally regulate him, which is very unhealthy. There are more signs that there are other things going on with Robyn, in my opinion, because in her confessional in this episode, I'm not sure what has happened, but Robyn Brown has purchased some false eyelashes. And
what led you to that conclusion?
have you not seen them? Did you not notice how her eyes are now only open 2/3 of the way because of the weight of these lashes? We're going to have to go.
I don't think so.
It's giving Amber Portwood.
Oh, okay. They're sticking together?
They're very heavy.
Oh,
it's a lot of lash.
Drooping.
A lot of lash for a lot of eyebrow. She's testing out a new look.
If she came in and they were like, whew, all right, well, based on the brow, I'm going to have to recommend the XXLs here. I don't know how else to explain this to you, but based on your face composition,
for proportion,
you got to go with these.
I can't wait until the glue ultimately fails, because at some point during the interview, it had to happen.
It'll peel up
yes,
on the corners.
We're going to have...
Maybe at the tell-all, when she starts crying and then she starts dabbing.
Oh, there's no tears. She's just going to rub them.
Yeah, she's going to be clawing as part of her normal tear evocation process that she goes through, sticking a pinky in her eye.
Is she auditioning maybe for Real Housewives of Flagstaff?
That'd be a really boring iteration of Real Housewives,
wouldn't that be fucking hilarious if they were wearing housewife-esque outfits in the confessionals? But no one addressed it. It just suddenly started happening.
I don't think Janelle would get that memo. She would have to be ordering some little hats from Mitch's mom so they could have those ready and available.
Bring the hats back. I enjoyed those.
I needed a smaller hat on Meri. The tiniest hat available. Just the teeniest. I'm still wounded by that. We didn't get to see that.
I'm waiting for her to just start wearing Worthy Up sweatshirts, and that's it.
She's getting close.
Every moment that the camera's on you is a branding opportunity.
Just a closet full of them, like Mark Zuckerberg.
We're at the She-Ra Chateau, and Cody's pretending to be a dad again. He's going to take the kids out for pizza. The smallest tenders. The
tendies, yeah. It's going to be Saul and Ari. They're going out for what I can only assume is terrible pizza somewhere.
You think it's paper thin?
Absolutely horrible.
I agree with that assessment. I also don't think they're allowed to order soda or anything with sugar in it.
Is Cece's Pizza still around? You remember those? I feel like that's where they're going. They're going to a pizza buffet. Let's put it at that level. Let's clock it where it deserves to be.
Kids eat free.
Yeah, that's where they're going.
I guess they can't be in the house for any somewhat serious conversations that take place.
Their tendy ears might overhear the adult conversation in the living room with Robyn and 2 of her other baby birds, Aurora and Brianna.
What could possibly go wrong in a conversation about wanting to go to church that you don't want to hear your other children to hear?
It might get a little racy. She's heard some of the reasons because she's been hearing from Brianna and Aurora separately that they both would like to start attending church
Did
in
you
Flagstaff.
notice the way she sat on the couch?
Robyn?
Yeah. We got no shoes, no socks. We're just cuddling up on the couch together. I'm a cool mom. I'm here to talk to you about your interests and finding a man at church.
Kicking it in the living
Her
room.
personal expertise. This is so weird, just right out of the gate. Why is Brianna always so emotional?
Some people have speculated that maybe this is just mirroring kind of Robyn's emotions back at her, because I'm sure anytime Robyn needs to bring up any sort of conversation with Aurora and Brianna, no matter how mundane that conversation will be, she's probably emotionally distraught needing to have that conversation with them. So now they just naturally react in that way when they need to have a serious conversation as well.
It made me emotionally dysregulated.
Well, they don't know what that means, but all they know is that they haven't been going to church basically since they moved to Vegas, because Ob doesn't have a branch in Vegas, surprisingly. And then they still didn't have a branch when they moved to Flagstaff.
Why was that not a consideration when they were choosing the place that they were going to live?
That's a trick question, Carly, because the original place they were going to go was St. George.
That's true.
So that was a consideration for about a second.
And then they just chose some place that was pretty.
Until Kody remembered that Utah is the least friendliest state in the union for polygamists.
The girlses were very happy with the amount of trees. So at the time, trees trumped having a church.
Now they're looking for a different kind of wood. Well, at least Brianna is. Yeah. I don't know. Aurora might be is she playing it under the radar?
I have to tell you, I think that Brianna did not inherit any of the genes of manipulation from Robyn. But I think Aurora has a little bit of them.
Trusty manipulation genes. Different. Manipulation denims.
Brianna played it all wrong. And you could tell that Aurora was like, shh.
Yeah. Because it sounds like there were side conversations that had happened. You have Brianna and Robyn. You have Aurora and Robyn. There had to have been some conversations between Aurora and Brianna. Those are the ones that I wanted. We needed to see those conversations because I wanted to see what their strategy was on how to pitch this to Robyn in order to, one, protect her delicate, fragile, emotional state, and then also, how do we get her to agree with this?
It makes me wonder, though, is this something that the girls have brought to her? Or is this a contrived storyline that she thought would make them look like a wholesome family? Watch us go church shopping together.
This feels like there is a need here. But then I think Brianna lets it slip. Her main motivation isn't really the church stuff. It's, I gotta find some dudes to date. And what I've heard my whole life is you need to find a nice boy at church. So can I go to church?
No.
Well, Robyn didn't even outright say no.
Yes, but how about some girlfriends? Why don't we start there?
To see Robyn react and respond where you can tell she is shifting this immediately of saying, you have the wrong intentions. There's so many unspoken things that happen in this conversation with Robyn's reply to Brianna's request. The request was, I want to go to youth group, meet people who have the same values as me, who are like-minded and religious, and then also potentially good guys that I would be able to date, eligible bachelors who I would be able to be introduced to.
That you would find an acceptable person for me to date.
Someone, yes. Anyone.
Because I feel like that eliminates a wide range of people right now from the dating pool.
And it cuts, a lot of the excuses that I've heard for why I can't date other people. So that was what was going to Robyn. What Robyn sent back was, I think youth group is great. I think church is great for you. I think that's awesome for you to find some girlfriends who have similar values and are like-minded and are interested in the same things as you. But she didn't mention the boys. She didn't mention the dating. She didn't receive any of that or send any of that back as far as confirmation on what she was hearing or authorizing as part of Brianna's request.
And that wasn't the first time that she sort of redirected one of them in the conversation, because when Aurora started talking, I thought that she came into this with the right angle, which was, I'm really lacking a component of life. There's something that I've discovered through my college class that I want to invest more time into. But then she mentions it was a class about Buddhism.
And I want to get more involved in that. And Robyn has to say, oh, and like the spirituality stuff, not Buddhism, right?
Without saying that.
Yeah,
You
didn't
mean
wanna.
spiritual. You want like more of a spiritual aspect to your life.
So you need to find church that aligns with Kody and Robyn's beliefs on things, and then that's stuff that you would be able to do, right?
Because we're not talking about Buddhism and karma and things like that. We're talking about Jesus.
I don't want to talk about karma. I think Brianna's kink is karma right now. You got to be careful. The judgment from Robyn, though.
Oh, completely a hypocrite, this woman.
To say to Brianna, to look her in the eye and say, I don't think the reason you should be going to church. Oh, I'm sorry. She would be saying it. I don't think the reason you should be going to church is to find a guy. Even though that's exactly what she did. That is a page out of Robyn's playbook.
Can someone explain how Robyn was living in St. George, right? She was in southern Utah. She somehow managed to find herself in a church in Lehi where she crossed paths with the family, and in her #1 New York Times bestseller, Becoming Sister Wives, talks about how the first time she ever saw Kody Wynn Brown was in church. I think that's actually the problem here, to be honest, that she knows that once those girls find a guy they're interested in, the amount of time that they're left being hers, being her little babies, is very limited.
They're gone. Yeah. It's 1 foot out the door.
6 to 8 months, and they're married.
6 to 8 weeks. Whose timeline are we going on?
You're right. They have a lot of negative examples in their life. Christine being the main one. And now they don't even want to live polygamy.
Which is kind of a relief at this point, isn't it? We weren't sure. And I think, especially in this most recent off season, that was something that was coming up in discussion. Was, do you think Aurora and Brianna would explore that? Because that was always something that was highly touted in the family.
I think, honestly, I think Kody ruined it.
I think they watched the collapse of the family more recently and decided, yeah, no, it's not for me.
I agree. And when I say I think Kody ruined it, not that they looked at him and said, oh, he did a lot of things wrong as a plural husband. He talked a lot of crap about the other wives and revealed things that they probably would have never known. And I think they latched on and heard every single one of those things. So they were a little too old, but I think maybe Robyn still has hope that Saul or Ari will have those memories fade over time, and maybe she could still be a plural family grandma.
Yeah, they don't remember most of their siblings anyway. Ari can't even name them off. Looking at photos of people like they're strangers in magazines.
They've grown up in monogamy.
Face blindness.
They'll sell them in on that.
Eventually.
Just give them some more time.
Yeah. But in the meantime, Robyn gets to combine 2 of her favorite things, church and shopping. So we're going to go church shopping.
That didn't go so well the last time that Robyn went church shopping.
To be fair, I think it was Christine that really hit the brakes on that. But then Robyn did jump in.
She backed her up.
Yeah, Robyn did jump in with the
frontal lobes are not fully developed.
That was the defense that she went with to just go ahead and snuff that out.
The whole problem that they had was having their kids go to a church that was a different belief system from their own. And they're going to have to accept that right out of the gate here, because we've already acknowledged that their church does not have a location here. And also, Kody, not really a fan anymore. Not pushing for that.
He's actually kind of anxious about this whole process that's going to be starting up. But he is still just a maverick who believes in Jesus. So I don't know what that means. If he's maverick, is Robyn goose?
Oh, I think that he really fancies himself to be a Jesus-like figure.
Where does Iceman come into the picture then?
He's very pro-Jesus. He just doesn't wear the brand. Is that another way to say I'm not going to go to church?
I believe he's been scheduled to work. Just like when Meri was needing to move and when Christine was trying to marry him.
Let me tell you, these girls go hard, because if you check out their Pinterests, which last time I checked are still not private in any way, shape, or form, a lot of religious posts. They dove right in, head first.
I don't know which body part first, but Maybe head first.
They dove loins first because there are a lot of things about finding a husband and how your husband should treat you and things that I think would make people think that they were on the verge of being engaged, but they're just husband shopping at church.
I feel like they have that Lydia Plath ticking clock in the back of their head where they know time's running out.
Time's running out.
I gotta land me a man.
The clock just started.
I know. Well, they don't know that. They feel like old spinsters. They're early 20s without a child.
The Fragrance of Jesus. A reading from Aurora Brown's Pinterest page.
Oh, no. Oh, we're going right in?
I want to encourage you with something practical today because almost every physical principle has a spiritual parallel. It's even true for smells. If you've been exercising for an hour, there's a smell you carry. If you've been eating garlic, there's a smell you carry. If you go fishing, there's a smell you carry.
I don't like being shamed like this.
The same thing is true when you spend time with Jesus. The more you're with your Savior, the more you will spread the fragrance of his love and grace and truth to the world around you. In marriage, we have a chance to be fully known and fully loved. It's the closest earthly thing we have to the love of God.
Yeah, I don't like any of these. I'm not feeling it.
A godly wife. She loves God above all things. She loves her husband and her children. She shows self-control. She is the keeper of the home. She is a servant. She is grateful. She is modest. She is kind. She is submissive. She is obedient. A word that Kody Brown personally loves.
See, I'm wondering how much of this...
Oh, I got one from Brianna's page.
Oh, boy.
May you attract a divine partner who is as loving, deep, passionate, sensual, soulful, and spiritual as you. Someone who is intimate, open, and vulnerable with you in every sense. Someone who is so completely compatible with you, it's like you both manifested each other. All right, nothing can top that one.
I'm going to have to dab my forehead at that one. I feel like Brianna is like just as thirsty as Meri at this point.
The board would reflect that.
We're getting dangerously close.
So what do you think their criteria is going to be once the shopping begins?
Probably how many dudes are there. That's going to be a big part of it.
The ratio.
And I think that's what Robyn's going to be keeping an eye out for as well. So she's going to try and find a nice all-girls group for them to sign up for at
Yes.
first.
They're going to have to prove that they can be responsible at church before they're allowed to attend alone.
But also, they're not going to be given any opportunities to prove that they're responsible either. So it's just going to be an impossible situation for them.
I can't wait. It's going to be like Regency rules where they can promenade with boys.
But not courting.
Not court. We can just walk around the church square. Do they have a church square? They're going to look for a safe place to walk arm in arm. No, maybe within a comfortable distance of one another with your hand in a muff.
Excuse me? I feel like that's what got us here in the first place. Brianna is borderline arthritic at this point. There could be long-term tendon damage, nerve damage that's happening here.
I need to see more of this. Like, just an entire episode of this, please. I don't care about what Christine's dress looks like.
No,
I don't care.
I can't condone that because I need the juxtaposition. I need to feel the low lows of the Christine and David wedding planning. So then that way I can appreciate this storyline. If I had a whole episode of this, I would be complaining nonstop.
All right.
I need the juxtaposition.
All right, fair. Although normally we rely on Meri for the low lows.
Thanks for noticing.
Next episode, Kody and Robyn go on a date. And Kody rails against their former church.
Excuse me?
It's in the description. I'm just reading you the words they gave me.
He's a maverick. Loves Jesus.
Christine and David host an engagement party with some very messy tacos. Meri and Jen visit Brandy in Las Vegas to dish about her spiritual release from Kody. Didn't that already happen?
So no, Meri did that alone in the first episode in the season premiere.
Don't care.
So we have to double back now so that Meri can say all the things that she wanted to say, but Jen's going to have to say them to Brandy.
I suspect that you are right about that.
We know the show. We know how it goes.
A quick couple of announcements before we head out here. Our recap of the Netflix holiday movie, Hot Frosty, is now available on our Patreon, and it was a visual experience.
It was an adventure. There's a lot of people who were pointing out this dude was on Schitt's Creek
and was a fairly attractive human being.
And I don't know what happened to this man as part of this filming or on the set.
How do you cast someone in a movie that is about them being hot? They need to be the most important casting that you do to make the film work. And it left us all scratching our heads. Very confused.
Misled.
Very
Misinformed.
misled.
It's a big problem. But the recap was fun. We had a good time.
We had a lot of fun.
Oh, we had a blast.
And if you want to check that out, the Patreon tiers are on sale right now. $8 and $12. Those are the tiers that you get the Let's Talk About It episodes in. They're half price.
So be sure to check the episode description. We got links to all of our social media channels, the Patreon, everything you could look for right in the episode description.
Thanks for listening. See you next week.